see a lot of you in the upper quadrants, and it's nice because your name pops up right when you check it off. So this is fantastic that we're all clustered in the doing pretty good, doing okay. Hey there, I tell my students this all the time. There is no shame in, yeah, you can draw on this all you want. There is no shame in needing support and asking for help. So thank you for the one person who said I'm having a hard time, because I thought about this. If this pandemic hit in my life at the stage where many of you are, because I'm an empty nester right now, so I can share my work remote with my partner and my dog pretty easily, I would be putting the heart like way off of the end of the purple. And there's one on there. So let's just be real with each other today and understand that this is tough. This is tough. And a lot of times we're giving so much to our students that we don't stop to take care of ourselves. And so I'm really, yeah, there's 3 or 4 of you that are in that stage. And my background's in counseling, and if any of you want to reach out to me after this, I would be more than happy to talk to you. I do a lot of walk and talks with people where, you know, I'm moving my body outside and I got my earbuds on, and we can offer each other support and take care of each other. So I'm going to clear that now, and we're going to move on to our presentation for today, which, oh, I've still got my hearts going. How cool is that? So I need to turn that off and move on to my next slide. I'll leave my 2 hearts there because I'm very happy today. So love to everyone. So my presentation today is called Designing Your Work Life. And I work in the Career Development Center over there with Lori. I'm very honored to serve in the role as Director of Professional Development. And I often talk about the different decades of my life when I work with colleagues, and I have labeled them with appropriate words that, you know, start with the same level, the same letter as the decade. So if you are one of my friends in the trying 20s, please go ahead and wave, or if you want to disclose where you are at this stage, type it in the chat. You can put 20s. I won't make everybody chat, I promise. I'm not one of those women that's like, oh my gosh, I have to hide my age. I'm like, battle scars and everything have gotten me where I am today. But I think about it when I work with our students, where they are just entering this whole, you know, from teenager to your 20s is such a huge transition. And I call it trying because I honestly remember it being trying. And my gosh, I did not go to college during a global pandemic. So I also think it's a chance to try things. And so from that standpoint, you get to try. Now, I also found my 30s to be a really great time of being thankful and having gratitude. I lost important people in my life during my 30s, my mom and my dad and my sister. And so I learned to really appreciate relationships. And during this time of COVID, again, it comes back to you how much you are grateful for all the things you have. Now I got to tell you about my 40s, because I do feel like that was freeing for me, because a lot of my earlier years, and let me be real with you, in my 20s, super selfish, thought I was the center of the universe. And then I kind of got to be free in my 40s, where I stopped worrying about what everybody else thought and judging myself and comparing myself. And now I honestly think I am in this wonderful, best decade yet. I might be one of the few on this call in this decade. Again, if you feel the notion to share, you can, but there is no pressure. Fearless. This is all about, friends, trying things that scare me. When I turned 50, my friends were like, we have to do something super fun and adventuresome. And they decided we were gonna do this Rugged Maniac obstacle course, which I said, are you crazy? I was petrified, y'all. And we got out there to jump over fire and climb up these obstacles. And I literally was going, this is not a good idea. There's nobody here in their 50s. Everybody at this race is like under the age of 30. But fearless is good. And it leads me into talking a little bit about where we are right now in the political and economic challenges that are facing our population today. We can't have a workshop without talking about that. I think today is the last day to register to vote in North Carolina. I know you all know that, but make sure all your friends know it and that you're all registered to vote. We have a polarization of opinions, and we need to make sure our students are exposed to diversity and they can listen to different points of view. Listening does not equal agreeing. And one of the big things that I think our career focus has to be in the future is on emotional intelligence. And that's why I'm so happy I see you all from so many parts on campus. Thank you, Melvin. You're on my screen of 4 and you just clapped for me. The second one is systemic racism. We have to end that. We have to address the lives of our the concerns of our Black students and improve all marginalized students' sense of belonging. And I'm going to tell you about a few things that I personally have been working on with that I think you might enjoy. And then this economic downturn. So this means that career readiness and the work that we're all doing in career identity right now is more important than ever. It's adaptability. It's carefully helping students design parallel plans. Because whatever we all thought we'd be doing in October 2020, I can guarantee we're not. And that's because we have a global pandemic. So the safety and concern for humanity, to me, is really central right now. And so I just think a lot about that. I think a lot about how are we instilling that in students? All of the notions of being concerned for each other and being kind. That's just one of the things that I think about personally. And we have to think about the economic challenges of the future of work. So I listened recently to a podcast by Ravi Kumar, who is the CEO of Infosys. And he had a really interesting idea. He said, well, we all know that there's going to be lots of new jobs. And he quoted 135 million new jobs in 2 years. So this is our current student population. They're going to be going out into a world where there are jobs that do not even exist. And when we think about artificial intelligence and machine learning, it's not going to be about problem solving anymore. It's going to be about finding the right problem and having an interdisciplinary focus where we can understand where everyone is coming from with their own values and mission statements and bring together key partners. And he brought up a notion of creative capital, which is this part of combining the sciences, STEM majors, humanities, and having cross-functional thinking with this whole multidisciplinary focus. So those are some of the things that I want to have you think about. And Lori, I know people have been chatting some things. Should I pause and let you interject any questions?
Actually, I'm chatting. I'm putting in notes of what you're saying. Could you repeat the person who spoke the podcast?
Oh, yes. Ravi Kumar, R-A-V-I, and then K-U-M-A-R, if I spelled it right, the CEO of Infosys. Someone can Google that for me. So now, what I want you to do is look at this picture. And I want you to imagine the last time you did something for the first time. And it can be anything. It can be anything. It could be maybe you planted some bulbs in your garden and you'd never planted bulbs before. I want you to then look at the next slide once you have that thing in your head. And I want you to identify the emotion that you felt when you did it for the first time. And I'd like you to chat that, please. So I have put in some emotions. You don't have to pick one of these, but a lot of times people pick things in the third category because it's something that they've never done before. And sometimes people pick it in the last category. So I'm going to let you all take a moment to chat in the emotions that you felt the last time you did something for the first time. My example is I took an outdoor yoga class. I recently moved downtown from Cary, from the suburbs to the city to downsize with my baby birds out of the nest. And I did an outdoor yoga class here at Transfer Food Co. On this concrete. And it was, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know, did we wear sticky socks? Do we go barefoot? You know, we walked in with masks and we're 6 feet away. Do we wear our masks during yoga? And, you know, do we all say namaste together? I didn't know because I'd never ever done the class before. And so looking at your chat, I can see excited, self-conscious, skeptical, anxious. These are great. That's what I wanted you to think about. And everyone's got their word. All right, now we're back to the parachute. So I want you now to imagine a student starting their first day of college. And this student has just jumped. It is day one. They are waiting for their parachute to deploy. I don't know if anyone on this call has ever done skydiving or jumping out of a plane, but if you have, please unmute now. Is it Gretchen that's unmuting?
Yeah.
Okay, Gretchen, please tell us the feeling you had when you jumped out of the airplane, because you may be the only one on the call.
I have to.
Oh, good. Elizabeth, we'll ask you next. First, Gretchen.
I think Scott's unmuted too. Yeah, it was a long time ago, but I was terrified.
Thank you. That's a great word. Elizabeth, what's your word?
I loved it. I felt completely out of control, and that was very freeing for me.
That's amazing. Did you say Scott had an idea too? Scott, did you do this?
I did. I did it a few years ago with my brother and found it very peaceful.
Ooh, what a contrast. We've got terrified, we've got excited, and we've got peaceful. I'm glad we heard all of those because
Chelsea did bungee jumping, which is
Oh.
another extreme sport.
Oh, Kelsey, what's your word for bungee jumping? Maybe the first time. You picked something really, really challenging to do for the first time. I've never done any of those. So thank you all for sharing that one. So here's our student again. They've just jumped. They're waiting for the parachute to deploy. Now, some of you said peaceful. Some of you said anxious. And I think a student feels all of that in college at some point because it's the ups and downs of life. It's a brand new chapter. There's going to be wins and losses. And the reason why I wanted to start with this metaphor of getting you in touch with what your last thing was you did for the first time was because that's what our students are going through. And we're the people behind them with the tethers supporting them once it deploys. We are here making sure that they don't crash and lifting them up. And the work that we do is so important. And I told you Fearless 50s, I honestly have replaced that word fear with curiosity. I'm curious, what would that be like to do? You know, I'm not as scared as I was in some of my earlier decades. So now that we've imagined the parachute with the tethers, I want you to think about that process of gliding on the college journey. And everyone on this call, I would like you to type in one of these 3 circles. If you're in academics, type that word in, if you're on the college side of the house. If you're in a high impact program, type in HIP. And if you're in co-curricular, you can type in CCE. We'll just have a nice little acronym to use because we don't have enough acronyms in higher ed. Now, what I want to look at as you're typing that in is to see all the diversity. Yeah, some of you are like, I'm both. I'm a high impact and I'm co-curricular. We've got all 3 here today. And these are the tethers. This is what I'm so passionate about because when I talk to my colleagues at other universities about collaborating, they literally roll their eyes at me. They're like, are you serious, Marcy? Did you do that at NC State? Because we're over here in our fiefdoms and we like it. Don't bother us over in academics. We're here for scholarly pursuits. We're here for publishing. I know that we have found an intersection with our goals. every person on this call is spending 90 minutes of their very valuable time on a Friday because you care about that tether, because you care about that partnership. And it's so important that we all take care of each other, because this pandemic has forced us to radically reboot. And I know that you all have been doing that ever since the semester started, ever since we left at spring break. We have had to radically reboot. And thinking about all of this helps me to move into the importance of relationships. So I use a metaphor with my students called your personal board of directors. And I literally tell you right now to imagine your boardroom. And I want you to imagine that you have these 7 seats around your boardroom table. And you are the CEO of your life. Of course you are. And as we saw, we have people in their trying 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, beyond. You're all on this journey, and the people around this table are your tethers on your parachute. And each of us needs to kind of think about the definition of these 7 seats and think about the intentionality we've had to pivot with to keep those relationships fresh, because we aren't able to sit and have a cup of coffee like we used to. So maybe there's an industry expert that you look up to. It's someone that is in the Living Learning Village community at another university that you think is just a trailblazer, and they're a leader in the field and you admire them. Maybe there's a mentor. You know, that's just a person, they don't even have to be in your industry, but they're just a professional that you look up to, that is a person that you, we could also call them admired professional. That's just another word for it. But they're different, a little bit subtly different things, because a mentor offers you advice and offers you guidance. The cheerleader is the really enthusiastic person that's always there to high five you whenever something great happens. And that can be, I integrate personal and professional a lot. I rarely separate them. So this could be a family member or a friend. It's the person you would go to when something great happened, the first person you want to tell. And that's actually one of my favorite ones. So I'm going to ask you to chat that person's name in the chat right now. We may or may not know them. You can type in the word mom if you want. But who is your cheerleader? Because it's really nice to identify that person and just claim it. And when we're done with this workshop, to tell them, literally, you know what? I just spent this afternoon talking about designing my work life, and I had to pick my favorite cheerleader in my life. And it was you. Okay, you're gonna make their day, 100%. I am sure of it. And I'm gonna take a little peek at the chat. Oh, look, we've got your pup. I love that someone picked an animal. They never complain either, right? They're always happy to see you. This is great. I'm just taking a peek at what you all wrote in here. Scrolling down to see. Oh, good, good, good. I'll have a lot of people that wrote their ages, not their ages, but that that confess to their decades too. That's fantastic. We've also got the challenger. Now, the challenger is that person that when you need someone to challenge you and raise the bar, that's the person that you go to there. And if I was in this workshop right now, I would literally just be writing these names, these 7 names down, because you have to have at least 7 around this table. You have to, because 6 of them might be busy. So you got to go down to number 7. So who is that challenger? Who is that person that pushes you to take it up a notch in your life? And that's a little bit different than confronter, which I think of as who confronts you when you're going down the wrong path. Okay, so you know who those people are that tell you what you don't want to hear. Yeah, okay, that's that person in your life that's going to tell you something you don't want to hear. And that's a really good one. And then we've got some people annotating, thank you. And then we've got the industry expert we talked about, and then comforter. Okay, so I said highs and lows, right, on that parachute ride of life. There's going to be a time when you're struggling. 4 or 5 of you, I think, put your hearts over there on the struggle line. And who is the person you go to lift you up? Who is the person you go to when you need support? That's a really important one. And I'm spending time on self-care right now because I think we don't do this. We don't do this enough for ourselves. We do it for everybody else because we are the caretakers. We're in student affairs, we're in academics, and we're constantly focusing on students. So, so thank you all for writing the name of your cheerleader. And also, if you want to just, Lori's going to send you this PowerPoint afterwards because I think she knows everyone that's here. But if you even just want to take a screenshot of this, hold up your phone. I do that during presentations because I'm like, ooh, this is the juicy stuff. I don't want to forget this slide. Feel free to do that because you may have to think about it. You know, you may have to think about it over a glass of wine later tonight with someone that you have in one of these seats. I hope you get to have a lovely beverage later with someone in one of these seats. So let's move on to a book that I recently read. And the next 4 slides are from that book. So I would like to credit colleagues at Stanford, Bill Burnett and Dave Evans. Some of you may have read the book that they put out several years ago called Designing Your Life, and that got very popular. And then very recently, this book came out called Designing Your Work Life. Now, I don't agree with everything in this book, so I'm going to be, and we're recording this, right, Lori? Okay, please don't send it to them. But I know there's some people that couldn't come today. So I'm going to give you my opinion after working for 30 years at 4 different universities that are very diverse and complex and have very high achieving students. But I think there were some nuggets in here. And so when Lori asked me, what do you want to talk about? I said, ooh, I just read this book. I'm going to talk about this. But then as I put the presentation together, I realized that's only going to be like 5 minutes in my presentation because I kind of like my stuff better. So this is cool though. This was a really great nugget from the book. So they have this concept of the maker's mix, which is kind of catchy because they have taken 3 parts of your work life and put names next to them. So there's the money part, there's the meaning part, and there's the creativity part. And they have quoted from Gallup that 85% of employees are disengaged at work. That's a lot of people, friends. A lot of people aren't happy at work. So we're going to talk about some of my thoughts on how you can be happier at work and a couple slides on their thoughts. So the whole concept that this book shares is that it's like a soundboard where you can turn up the money or the meaning or the creativity, and you can turn it down during different times in your life. So there may be a time in your life where I almost thought it was settling. My husband read the book too, and we were talking about it together because he goes, I said, ooh, let's read this book and let's talk to our teams about it, because he heads up a group of 35 people over at the NC Biotech Center. And we both read it, and we talk about stuff like this on the weekends in our free time. We're just like constantly consuming content about leadership and high potential. And I was like, what did you think about this idea of settling? He was like, yeah, I didn't love it. He goes, I'm not going to share it with my employees, because we both kind of left it thinking that because we spend so much time at work, we want our work life to be meaningful. We don't want to just save that for doing it outside of work. And because we spend so much time at work, we also want to feel our creative side is nurtured at work. So kind of the idea that this book talks about is doing a remix. So they think about your job as your vocation, and that's where the money is, right? That's what you get paid for. Maybe you get paid to be a lawyer, and you are writing contracts for Exxon all day, and you are making a lot of money. And then on the weekend, you're a soccer coach, right? You have this group of kids, you have your meaning happening, you're impacting these young people's lives. No one's paying you to do it. And then maybe on the weekend, you go to open mic night, and that's where you have your creative side being nourished. And throughout your life, you turn it up and down, but they're never always all up. And so I kind of thought that was interesting, and I wanted to share it with the group here today to have you think about it too, as far as like how it goes in your life. So where do you feel like you are in your mix right now? And this is again just a reflection for you to think about. Are you feeling like you're getting the money you deserve and the meaning that is important for you in life on your journey? And also, are you allowed to unleash your creativity? So these are the questions that people are profoundly resonating with and thinking about. And I think part of the book when I left it was, it's okay if you don't love your job. I kind of want to love my job. But they also gave this reframing idea, which is, and you might remember on an earlier slide when I was talking about the future of work, I said it's going to be flat organizations. There's not going to be ways to move up. And that means that you have to reframe what you're doing and bring a new you to the same situation, where you really focus on what your why is, and you can change that based on why you're coming to work and why it's meaningful to you. So they mentioned happiness is getting what you want, wanting what you get. So where does not having to feed your soul, it can feed your family, your why? Okay, so yeah, I get it. I think that's not a bad idea. Like, I don't have to feed my soul at work. I can feed my family, and I can have a really great income, and then have my meaning and have my creativity. They often use this example in the book of seasonings. So let's say you have this dish and you just add a dash of chili powder. It's just a little, it's not that much, but it changes the whole flavor of the dish that you just made. So even if you just coach that team on the weekend or did open mic night once a month, that's enough. You're still gonna be feeling it. So my life is good enough for now is kind of the philosophy there. And you change your thoughts and reframe it from, my life's not good enough. Yeah, because our thoughts do create a lot of our actions. So that one little teaspoon or dash of Carmidin could totally change your soup. And that could be enough for you. And that's what you have to decide, is what is enough for you. But we spend 1/3 of our waking hours at work. So I like having all 3 of those. The last slide from them is reinventing. Again, with flat organizations, we have the notion of remodeling your current job and thinking about what energizes you and redesigning it right under your boss's nose. And that ties into finding what you're really curious about. I used to use the word passion, but I don't anymore because I think it overwhelms people. What's your passion? And they're like, yikes. So calm down, Marcy. I don't know. I'm just trying to get through my day. And then I say, all right, well, what are you curious about? And then people kind of perk up and go, actually, when I was walking in nature the other day, you know, this is really something that kept being on my mind and it was pulling me. And so I tell people to try things. And they emphasize too in the book, you've probably heard this 80-year study from Harvard where they follow people for 80 years and they ask them, what made you happy? Newsflash, it wasn't money. It was meaning. It was relationships. And so that's one of the things that kind of ties back into how can you bring that into your life. All right, so that's the book. Now back to my stuff. So I'm going to tell you a little bit, and we're going to break out here in a group because it's 2:30 and we started at 2. So you've been listening to me for a while. And I want y'all to talk because I know when I come to these things, I don't want to just look at a screen for 90 minutes. So just so you know a little bit about me, I have a couple classes that I teach on campus, and I think I'm going to teach one in the honors and scholars group this coming spring. That's in Sean's court. So Scott asked him if I got approved for that. But these are all career classes students can take. And then you can connect to me on LinkedIn if we haven't connected yet. And I really want you to know about the podcast too. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later because I think that's really important to hear people's stories of overcoming struggles. All right, so attitude versus knowledge. So the first thing we're gonna do, Lori, is our first breakout group. And ideally, we can have groups of 2 or 3. So Lori is behind the scenes putting you in your groups. And when you get into your group, what I would love you to do is talk about what you learned in this first 30 minutes and what you think about the maker's mix. What do you think about meaning versus money versus creativity? You know, do you need a lot? How are you mixing it? So everything you just thought about for the last 30 minutes, you get to talk about. Now, I want you to look at these clocks too while you're in your groups, and I want you to notice what time they're at. And they're at different times, but the face on the clock looks similar on all of these. And that, I think, has to do with attitude, because clocks are always smiling. And so whenever you Google a clock, it's going to be at 10 after 10 or 10 minutes to 2, because attitude and what you bring to a situation has a lot of impact. So the other challenge I'll give you in your group is to determine the percent attitude matters. Now, the way you will determine that is based on every letter in attitude has a different number associated. So A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3, and Z equals 26. All right. So you get to determine attitude versus knowledge, and you will work together to add those up. So Lori, will you send our groups out for about, let's say, 10 to 15 minutes? See everybody coming back from their conversations. So you guys are gonna get to be the first ones to see if you got the percentages of how important attitude and knowledge are. Does anybody know?
Well, if they're not equal, then we don't know how to add in our group.
They're not equal.
They're not equal?
No,
Then we don't know how to add.
it's
I
okay.
have numbers for you if you'd like.
I'm ready, Asia.
Okay, I will admit that I slightly cheated because I've seen it before. But knowledge gets you to 96 and attitude gets you to 100.
Woo, okay. So feel free to steal that. Feel free to steal the mental health check-in. Anything that you like today is free for the taking. So I think that's a kind of a powerful thing to realize. Plus, it's really nice that the numbers all add up, isn't it? So that makes...
Marcy, but this is Beth. Basically, we realized that what you were trying to make sure we got out of this is that you can have all the knowledge in the world, but without the right attitude, you're never going to get to 100%.
Wow, Beth Buck, what a lovely summary you just gave. That is fantastic. So your attitude has a big, big impact. We all know that. I always say BYOS, okay? And the S does not stand for a 4-letter word. If you got some of that falling on you, I'll give you a timer and I'll let you talk about it. But then bring your own sunshine. All right, life is too short. So what do you want? What do you want, friends? Let's think about it. So I told you earlier that 1 in 3 people are not happy with their lives, or maybe I didn't tell you that earlier. I think I said something like 85% aren't engaged at work. I think it's really, really simple to be happy, but it's not easy. And when I often ask people why they don't have what they want, I have this philosophy that it's because of the F-bomb. I do. I hear people dropping it every single day, and it is right and left. They're not even thinking about it. So what do y'all think it is? What's the F-bomb? Oh, they're going to chat because they're too afraid
Fear?
to say it out loud. Fear is a good one. That's not mine though. Failure, that's a good one. That's not mine. Frustration, future. I like all those. Keep them coming. What is the F-bomb? I'm going to stump this crowd with my F-bomb. What do you think?
Feeling?
Feeling. Good guess. Fair. You guys are so warm, so warm. Keep it coming. What is Marcy Bullock's F-bomb? I'm going to wait for one more guess, and then if you don't get it, fun. Thank you. I like that one. No, because I think you'd be happy in life if you were having fun. No, I think the reason why people are not happy in life is because if I saw you, and I actually did see one of you recently when I was on campus. Lori is working in the same building as I am, which is in Poland. I think she might even be there today, but we're rotating when we go into Poland so that we only have a certain number of people and we're open with our plexiglass and our masks and everything. And I saw someone recently, it was Jane Lubisher. We were walking out of the library together and I was like, hey, how are you? That's a big hint, friends.
Yeah, somebody already typed it. They said fine.
Oh, but that's after I gave it away. I'll just have you know.
Oh, no, somebody typed it before you finished telling that story.
I don't know. I'm on my own timer over here. So it's
Okay.
It's fine. How are you? I'm fine. Thank you, Emily. Very well done on your answer. And you did get it in before I gave it away, but I was getting close. So I want to remind us all, we need to hear this. We need to hear this today. You are here on this Friday for a reason, listening to me for a reason. The odds of you being born at the moment you were born with that DNA to those parents are 1 in 400 trillion. Honestly, like, I love this statistic. Google it if you do not believe me. You are here for a reason. This is what I'm preaching. Thank you. And you are not fine, you are phenomenal. So this gets back into the attitude, right? If you just think, yeah, I'm fine. I mean, yeah, we're all going to have a bad day. I'm not trying to say that we're not going to have days that we don't feel great. But I think reminding myself when I'm having one of those bad days and getting caught in the weeds and sweating the small stuff. All right, Marcy, practice what you preach, lady. 1 in 400 trillion. You know, we have ideas all the time on how we want to change our life, how we want to change the world, how we want to change our work life. And what do? Well, it's really easy to hit the snooze button. We have to activate that energy. We have to remember how phenomenal we are. And I don't think any of you on this call today want to be mediocre. Honestly, I know you're not. I work at NC State with all of you. No one goes into work saying, I'm going to screw up today. I'm going to be a mess today. But I know the exceptional part, we have to focus on it and create our own anthem. That's my favorite word to think about because I love music and I do theme songs and really crazy stuff with my team, as Lori knows, where I make a playlist of everybody's theme song and we like sing it on Fridays because that's your jam. I mean, music is wonderful. Think about what nourishes you. And in your next breakout, I want you to answer these 2 questions if you don't answer anything else. What is serving you and what nourishes you? And I'm going to tell you about an activity in a second before I, again, think about the thoughts in your mind and how you are using them to create your emotions. So we can easily say, I got to do the laundry. I got to grade these assignments. I've got to fill up my gas. I get to fill up my gas because I have a car. Oh, and I get to do the laundry because I have clothes, and I get to do the dishes because I have food. A lot of these are a mentality. And so if you're feeling like you're getting your dose of Marcy inspiration, I hope it's true because we spend 900,000 hours at work. It is 1/3 of our waking hours after college. And again, these percentages are abysmal. The number of people doing something meaningful based on Gallup polls or using their talents is really, really low. So this is my 30-day challenge for you, friends. And I have lemonade here pictured for a reason. So I want you, and please try this, to ask yourself 3 questions for 1 month. And I actually download mine in Google Keep. We're a Google campus, so it's kind of nice. I have all my Google Keep in color codes, yes. And so when I see a picture of a recipe I want, I take it, I put it in my Google Keep. If I want to remember a restaurant, yeah, I'm all about the food. Everything's here. So I'm going to go into my Google Keep and just pull up my 30-day challenge because I have done it numerous times and I'm doing it with my students right now. And on my 30-day challenge, it's in green. I have asked myself for, there's the light, there's my green, for 30 days. I journal immediately with my phone in my Google Keep because it's right with me. What energized me? And I don't wait till the end of the day to answer that. This is the magic here. You can't wait till 12 hours later. You do it immediately after. So I was talking to one of my colleagues earlier today. We had this open house thing going from 12 to 2 where it was like advisors popping in, and some of you I think were there and popped in to see me, which was really nice. And we were talking about the fact that she had made this soup. And she was telling me about the recipe for the soup and, you know, how she had to bake the chicken the night before and then fry something for this tortilla soup. And I could tell it energized her. So immediately after she made that soup, write down, I just made soup. And it's just in the energized column. Then you've got the drained column. This is the stuff that sucks the life out of you. And immediately after it happens, if you had to look in an Excel spreadsheet for 3 hours today, you can say, did that energize you or drain you? Put it in that column. And this is the question you ask at the end of the day. So you wait until bedtime, put an alarm on your phone so you don't forget. And you already have the column of everything that you did that energized you and everything you did that drained you. I think someone might be off of mute if y'all can check that real quick. And we're getting a little feedback. And if you wouldn't mind muting, friends, thank you so much. I'm gonna have to look and see who it is and call them out. Are y'all on mute? Wendy Blue, please mute. Can you please mute Wendy? She must have gone to get some lemonade. All right, so after the end of the day, you write down what you learned about yourself. And that is where the juice in the lemon comes out. And you got to do it for 30 days, friends. Don't do it for a week and say, I squeezed that lemon dry. That was useless. You got to do it for 30 days. And after 30 days, you look at the patterns. And we're going to do some sharing in the next breakout here in a minute because we have, what time do we have till, Lori? 3:30, yeah. So we still got time for another breakout. But I'll just tell you, what did I learn about myself? I must be real with you. I'm in my 50s and I'm still learning, so don't put a fork in me. I'm not done yet. I learned that I do not have to focus on dumping content on students, but I can actually make a bigger difference in their life as they develop at this stage and help them work through mental health challenges. And then I get rewarded with the one-on-one connection. I learned that I need to be in high energy, vibrant places. I learned that I do not have strong attention to detail. This is the kind of thing that after I read my Drained and Energized for one day, I would write a different sentence down. This is what I learned about being me today. Literally. This is what I learned about being me today. I am just putting a hand on the pulse of how I feel. And this is a great activity for your students. We do all these assessments. Beth Buck, you love strengths like I do. They're amazing. But this is the best one that I've ever done. Myers-Briggs, you know, True Colors, Sparketype, I love them all. But this is my favorite one. So when you do that for a month, I would love it if you tell me what happens. Honestly, like what's today? It's October 9th. So at the end of this semester, I feel like we've got a month left. My TA just wrote today, we have 6 weeks left. So we're winding it on down. And I didn't realize that either. I was like, whoo, I forgot what our new schedule is because all the December grads are going, I'm a November grad. I'm like, oh, that's right. We're finishing the semester in November. So this is a great one for designing your work life because once you realize what you learn about yourself, under your boss's nose, you rewrite your job description in that flat organization of a future, and you bring that meaning mix in, and you bring that creativity mix in. Now, I have this great mantra I use in my classes. I think it's great. They all start with P, so they're easy to remember. So first of all, be fully present. That one is really hard. I do meditation in my class. A lot of people are saying, how have you pivoted during COVID when you're teaching everything two-dimensionally on a screen? Well, I have to touch base with students' mental health like I did with you at the beginning, and we focus on being present. So we go into in the middle of class, we're gonna stop, we've been looking at screens, we're gonna mute our camera, and we're gonna do mindfulness. Then I tell students to trust the process, and that is hard to do when you want to plan ahead, but believe that there's going to be this planned happenstance, which is this whole theory in career development that you can plan, but then serendipity comes in. Explore your path. Yeah, try things. That's the way Bill Burnett and Dale Evans said it in their book. They said try things. I said explore your path. Get out there. Right now, our students have LinkedIn Learning for free, and a lot of them are saying, oh my gosh, what if I don't get my internship? I'm going to be so far behind. Companies are cutting back. And I'm saying to them, then do LinkedIn Learning certificates. Pop those on your credentials and show employers you're not staying stagnant during the pandemic. You're sharpening your saw. That's exploring. That's learning. So much pressure. This one's easier said than done. And then we focus on potential. And that's kind of a big thing that I think is really great. And I tie it into this, this Venn diagram, which shows the 3 circles. And this is the sweet spot in the middle. This is where someone wants to pay you to do what you enjoy and what you're good at and what's important to you. And I do need to change that word passion. I keep saying passion, Marcy. Change it to curiosity, because that slide, I need to update it. And this is really when time flies by. And when you do the 30-day challenge, it will show you when time flies by, and it will show you when time drags. And that's a very big indicator of the direction you should be going. And I call it a nudge. And you get nudged from the time you can remember the first thing you wanted to be when you grew up. And you get nudged all the way to today, which is what you're doing, because I don't know, I think we're supposed to be growing up right now. So abilities, passions, values, labor market needs me to do it. So my example of the nudge on this is, you know, when I was in college, I was captain of the soccer team at UC San Diego, and I was good at soccer. I love soccer, abilities, curiosity, passion. I thought it was important to compete and win, values, but nobody wanted to pay me in that middle circle to be on the USA Women's National Team. That was not offered to me. But you know what? Exactly everything that I did on the soccer field, I do in my job today, which is helping people reach their potential. And so this is the kind of way that we can think about the nudges for students. All right, I got to show you my house analogy and then one more breakout room here. So have any of you ever had a house built that, you know, you used? Okay, I saw Christina nodding in the first slideshow here. So you might be able to relate to this, this photo here. We did the parachute earlier. I like to use images. So one of the things that's going to happen on this house is there's a foundation that has to be built. We have to put a slab of concrete down or there will be no house. And I am going to use this as an analogy for values, which was on that last sheet. And Lori does some amazing things with values. So I know you're going to have more of this, or you have with her in Career Identity. Your non-negotiable values are the concrete slab of the house. You cannot live without them. You must have the slab to survive. We must identify our non-negotiables. The next part is the frame and the drywall, and that's lovely to have in our house. We all enjoy that, and those are our core values. We need them almost as much as the foundational values, almost as much, but they're not quite non-negotiable. They're like the next close tier is the frame and the drywall. Next are our minor values. Now, those are things like furniture and carpet and lights. That makes our life so happy. I like a bed. It feels really nice. I like a fluffy pillow and a comforter on these chilly mornings, but they're minor. I could function without them. That's a set of values for you. It's the third tier. I love the house analogy. And then finally, you might not have thought of it, but imaginary. So imaginary could be like the color. I thought I wanted my walls agreeable gray, and now I got them here and I don't love them. I thought that was going to be really bringing me so much joy. I don't like that color. Imaginary values are things we say we think are important to us, but they undermine the core values or the foundational values. All right, so here's my example. I told you maybe I didn't tell you, I love fitness. I love to move. I do a lot of meetings, walk and talk, so I don't have to look at the screen the whole time. I think it's really healthy to feel strong. And so I have that as a top non-negotiable value. Take care of your body. It is the container that carries you around in this earth. You cannot give to anyone else without it. And I have a very important connection to that. I won't budge on it. I have boundaries. I get my workout in. But then there's days where I go, Krispy Kreme, it's just a short walk away. I really want that donut. It's imaginary. It brings me joy for the moment. And then I realize it's undermining. It can also be something like social media. It could be like, I love scrolling and seeing what everyone's doing. But then when I finish, I feel kind of rotten. I feel like I have FOMO. Everybody's doing something fun that I wasn't involved in. That's imaginary. So if they're not bringing you joy, cut them out. Now, I'm definitely not saying that I never have donuts. Just don't take that from that. But I want you to see that definition when you go back to these slides. I said them out loud to you: foundational, core, minor, and then imaginary. Because as you are ranking what's important, if you can align these things with your actions, you're going to be in the flow and bring a lot more happiness to your work life and your personal life. And again, I integrate them all the time. I'm working on this quiz right now that I'm hoping to integrate into that new class I'll teach in the spring. And it's going to be on women in the workforce. And it's a work-life integration quiz where you get to see if you're a separator. You always separate work from personal, or an integrator. You know, you're at work and you go to the dry cleaner and you go home and you check your email. If you are a personal first or a work first, you know, over your whole career, what comes first? This is a really important distinction to make. And some people are cyclers. And we have a new quiz that we're actually going to be presenting at the North Carolina Career Development Association meeting in November on this new assessment that I've designed with my graduate assistant. And it helps you identify your type at early career, mid-career, and senior career. And again, it ties into values. So now we're in our last breakout group. Okay, so we're going to give you again 12 minutes with a new random group. Hopefully, Lori will mix it up a bit. And remember, I asked you that question about what serves you and what nourishes you and what your anthem is. And here's some more fun questions. I will copy and paste them into the chat. And I'm going to give you about 12 minutes to talk about what you've learned now and answers to these questions. So off you go, friends, to your rooms, and I will copy and paste this in the chat. And I'll see you in 12 minutes to wrap up. Does anyone have anything that they would like to share for the big group, brave enough to unmute and answer to one of those questions?
I said I was curious about everything.
Good. Yeah, then you'll be happy doing lots of things. That's good news.
And so I am happy doing lots of things. You know, when people, I'm not the one who puts a prescription on what's next so much as in when the next thing presents itself and it seems really cool or like something I want to do, then I just go, okay, I can do that.
Yes, knowing you from CareerCon last year, I totally see that. You've gone from industry to academics. You're all over the place.
I am.
Anybody else want to share something from that activity?
I'll just say, Marcy, that we quickly started talking about COVID just because it's really hard to avoid discussing how COVID is impacting all of this life, career, work, all of it right now.
I appreciate that, Beth. And that's kind of why I tied it into this presentation to the pandemic. So whatever you needed to talk about is good. By the way, you know what? I was just thinking about this today, and maybe somebody on this call knows the answer. Did we have spring break in the next semester, or did they cut that out?
It's still in the schedule.
Okay, because I heard UNC cut theirs out. So I was like, are we having it? So we're just letting people go away and come back? Okay, sorry. That's a little, a little digression. Apparently that's what someone decided. Okay, so you're not recording this, Lori, just kidding. All right, so last screen share. I promise there's only 2 more slides, and thank you for staying to the grand finale of this conversation. Move all these little things around and show you my last 2 slides. All right, so I would be remiss if I did not shamelessly plug all the great things we're doing in our office. So just so you know, these resources are available to your students. We have pivoted, just like Beth said, during COVID, we can't do things the same way. So our career readiness certificate is now gamified and students can access that online, and the same thing with career identity. So if they're still trying to decide what to do with their lives, or they know and they want help getting there, there's a fun leaderboard for them to compete on while they get the content that they need. And of course, all of you as certified CIAs or soon to be will be matched with some of those career identity program students, and you'll get to interact and coach them, because we believe really strongly that we need human beings there caring about them. We don't want to just say, go to, you know, a screen, but there's a real person behind the screen that cares about you, and they care what you know, and they know that you care. I also want to point out that I have a YouTube channel, and if you just type in my name in YouTube, you can see about 70 videos I created this summer for my classes. They're all about 10 minutes long, and they're on every single topic. So not in the world, but that I think are important. And you can access those for students if they're helpful at all. And we're actually transitioning those to the Career Center website, but they haven't quite made it there yet. So those things are happening, and we're doing the drop-ins now. People 11 to 2 can go straight to a Zoom room and just get help immediately, or they can get help by logging on to EPAC and making an appointment. So yeah, lots of things going on in our office that I think are important. And I mentioned the podcast earlier, and I kind of wanted to close with that today, because there's research done at Stanford that says that students who are marginalized, and we talked about that in the first slide with Black Lives Matter, that they need to hear a story from someone that looks like them on how to navigate a university and how to navigate their career path. And the research that was done there was on people who heard the story and people who didn't. And they heard the story from someone that looked like them, and they were able to track students throughout their college experience, and they had higher GPAs and more happiness and job satisfaction if they heard the story from a person that looked like them of how to navigate the university and the career process. So that's why I love that podcast that I mentioned to you, because we have people of all diverse backgrounds telling the story of overcoming the struggle. And we know how important that is and what a big impact that has on students' success. So I wanted to remind you of that, and then go to my last slide, which is going back to the parachute. And this is a picture of the career ambassadors. Many of them graduated last year, had the 2 feet hit the ground safely, as safe as they could, but the connected tethers, which we're all a part of, support a student's journey and empower them to land ready not just for their first job, but for their last job and lives filled with meaning. So that is where I am ending this. And we are at 3:29. So I thank you so much for all of the feedback you gave, all of the interaction. I'm going to just type in the link to the podcast, go.ncsu.edu/wolf, if I can spell it, PAC career chats. And I hope you'll subscribe to that and copy it. You can find it in your podcast wherever you listen. Could be Spotify, could be iTunes. All right, 3:30, it just clicked. If you have any questions, I'll hang out. Peace.